Paris Hilton testified before Congress yesterday. She was testifying about improvements to the foster care system, and she talked about her experiences of abuse.
These programs promised healing, growth, and support, but instead did not allow me to speak, move freely, or even look out a window for 2 years. I was force-fed medications and sexually abused by the staff. I was violently restrained and dragged down hallways, stripped naked, and thrown into solitary confinement. My parents were completely deceived, lied to, and manipulated by this for-profit industry about the inhumane treatment I was experiencing. So, can you only imagine the experience for youth who are placed by the state and don't have people regularly checking in on them?
And so here she is talking about a time when she was a troubled teen and her parents put her into a sort of troubled teen facility. And she says that she was sexually abused while she was there. Now, the reality is that if you're looking at like the foster care system, this sort of stuff, unfortunately, people who end up in foster care, first of all, have usually had abuse at the hands of their immediate family or people who are supposed to be their caretakers, which is how they end up in foster care in the first place. What this world needs is more individuals like the people who are in the movie Sound of Hope, which is coming out in theaters July 4th. Daily Wire Plus is proud to be working with Angel Studios to bring that movie to theaters. You should also check out our Sunday special this Sunday, where we talk with the bishop who's at the center of this town, Possum Trot, that adopted 77 kids out of foster care. What Paris Hilton is talking about here is very real. It's very ugly. The movie is about how to solve that at the community local level. It's a beautiful film. You should go check it out July 4th, and make sure to check out our Sunday special this Sunday, where we talk to the bishop who is the inspiration for the film. Have you ever gotten undressed only to realize that you were like at a hotel in front of an open window? Is that a good idea or a bad idea? Well, going online without using ExpressVPN, it's like being nude in front of a floor-to-ceiling window. Embarrassing. Bad. That's because your internet provider can see and record everything you do online. Your ISP can see every website you visit. And in the US, they are legally allowed to sell your browsing activity to third parties without your consent. It's not just internet providers. If you're using the Wi-Fi at work, at a hotel, Airbnb, even at home, the owners of that Wi-Fi can also see everything you're up to. Imagine all those people getting a list of all the things you've clicked on. That's not great. Worse than even getting undressed in a hotel window sometimes. That's why for the past 5 years, I've never gone online without ExpressVPN running in the background. Guys have been saying it for years. If you use the internet in any shape or form, you need to start using ExpressVPN. The app is simple to use. You tap one button. All my traffic is now sent through a secure, encrypted server. It's like tinted windows for my internet connection. I can see out. No one can see in. Make sure you secure your online activity with the VPN I trust to keep myself private. Visit expressvpn.com/Ben Shapiro Show today. You get an extra 3 months for free. That's expressvpn.com/Ben Shapiro Show. expressvpn.com/Ben Shapiro Show to learn more. The Biden economy is not good. How bad is the Biden economy? It is amazing to me, but to watch politicians who know better suggest that the inflation of the last several years is caused by corporate greed. It's such absolute sheer nonsense, and it makes no internal sense. There's no internal logic to it. Were corporations less greedy in 2018, and then they suddenly became magically greedy in 2021? Or maybe it's that inflation is a monetary phenomenon in which too many dollars are following too few goods and services. Now, the Biden administration is attempting to push around companies. According to Axios, quote, companies that announce splashy price reductions can expect public praise from the highest level of government. For those that don't, a tax on sky-high profit margins, so-called junk fees, and the like. This is unbelievable. So the Biden administration is now leaking to Axios that they are going to literally attack companies that don't artificially lower prices in time for the election. They want corporations to take a corporate hit so that Joe Biden will not slander them publicly. They effectively want to blackmail corporate America. Now, I know that Democrats have done this historically. Back during the Great Recession, Barack Obama famously called in a bunch of banking heads and said, I'm the only thing standing between you and the pitchforks, so I need you to kowtow to me, and they basically did. Now Joe Biden is doing the same thing. It ain't going to work this time because you can't lower your profit margins to the point where you are bleeding money. Why would they have to if the economy is going so gung-ho, according to Joe Biden? In recent weeks, the administration has applauded Target, Walmart, and other grocery chains for beginning to, quote, answer the president's call to lower prices for household goods. In a speech last week, top White House economist Lael Brainerd said grocery store margins remain elevated relative to pre-pandemic times. Brainerd said some grocery stores are answering the president's call and lowering prices on thousands of items. This is smart, but corporations have to do more to bring their prices down. Now, again, this is an absurdity, and Trump should point it out. He should say, Joe, if your economy is so good, why are you having to blackmail corporations into lowering their prices? Why is that a thing you have to do? Why is it that your Inflation Reduction Act did not reduce inflation? Joe Biden certainly will cite this ridiculous letter of 16 Nobel Prize-winning economists who suggest that Trump is going to increase the inflation rate. Trump needs to point out 13 of those 16 said the Inflation Reduction Act would actually reduce inflation. One of them is apparently married to Janet Yellen. So give me a break. Meanwhile, on immigration, this is the worst single issue for Joe Biden. He is deeply underwater on immigration, as he should be. And Joe Biden needs to be asked a very simple question. How many Americans are you willing to let die in order to keep the border open? It's that simple. It's that simple. So yesterday, Alejandro Mayorkas was doing a press conference. He's the head of the Department of Homeland Security, and he was called out over the murder of a 12-year-old girl by an illegal immigrant. The girl's name is Jocelyn Nungary. So he was asked by a reporter at a press conference, why is it that an illegal immigrant wearing an ankle monitor killed a 12-year-old girl?
Obviously, the media, the nation has had their eyes on the brutal crimes committed recently by illegal immigrants. One of them was actually wearing an ICE ankle monitor. Yet this morning you said in an interview that the safety of the American people is the priority and that these individuals are vetted. But we know in our conversations with the ICE director, we've heard the FBI director say that there are significant gaps in intel. So what would you say to reassure the American people that they are in fact safe? And what would you say to the families who are mourning their loved ones because of these migrant crimes being committed?
Well, let me start where you ended. A message to the families is, of course, our hearts are with them, given their suffering.
Again, if your heart was really with the people who are suffering, then perhaps you should close the border. All Donald Trump has to do is list off the names of a wide variety of people who have been murdered in the past 6 months by illegal immigrants under Joe Biden's border policy. Meanwhile, there was a report from NBC News just this week that there are 50 ISIS-linked people walking around in the United States after being allowed into the country by Joe Biden. Mayorkas is trying to deny that report. Here he was yesterday.
DHS confirms that at least 400 migrants with potential ISIS ties recently crossed into the United States.
That is incorrect.
Tell us why.
That reporting is incorrect. We do not have identified 400 people with potential ISIS ties. And let me again assure you that individuals who are identified to have those ties would pose a concern to us from a public safety and a security perspective, and they would be priorities for detention and removal.
Calling that initial NBC report inaccurate of the 400 potential ISIS ties?
I think it is inaccurate.
Oh, it's inaccurate. It's just there are a few who are walking around in the United States. Representative Shapiro correctly points out that it is Joe Biden's executive branch that is allowing people in the United States to be killed.
By the way, a tyrannical executive branch which has allowed people to get killed, right? We just had this woman, Rachel Marin, in Maryland, who was killed, brutally raped and murdered. She wasn't the first in her county. Kayla Hamilton, 2 years ago, brutally raped and murdered. Texan, Lisbeth Medina, killed, found in a bathroom. The little girl, 13 years old, who was raped in New York. A 12-year-old in Iowa who was raped because we're allowing people to get dumped into our communities who are criminals.
That is the point that Donald Trump needs to make tonight. Again, on policy, Joe Biden is going to lose this debate, which means that he only wins this debate if Donald Trump really screws up. All the pressure is on Biden, which is probably why he's been hiding in a bunker for the last 6 days, being jabbered at by 16 people. We'll see how that works out for him, since people in stage 2 of dementia have kind of a tough time with many people in their arena trying to give them advice. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.